what's being utilized here is almost my bottom-up thinking. It's one detail at a time. And I know this can't be translated because it said in that book that you can't translate what's happening. It's your way of orienting the world now is different. But like I don't have a navigation point at all. It's like I come up against something and then something lands in, and it cannot happen until I'm in that minute. Like it's just that has to be there, which is really annoying. I've
Yeah.
tried the Baggy. I'm not sure if it worked. I'm just going to double check.
Oh, go on,
I'm going
yeah,
to
what's
share
that?
this along too because I want to make sure it's going everywhere. I have been rabbiting on about you to so many people.
Well, I'm only just learning. I mean, honest to God, I mean, people think I know a lot, really, and I'm just like winging it most of the time with what you've just said. The stuff comes in from one moment to the next. Otherwise, if we get a plan of what's coming up, we'll try and get out the way because it's hard work.
It is, exactly.
You
And it
know,
is
there's
get out of I see what you mean partially now, but it was literally just today about that. Getting out of our own way. I was going to put that up as the whole point. No, I don't want it to be a friend zone. I want it to be public. Why are you not public? Sorry, Joe, one second. It's
that's
me
all
in
right, don't
tech at the
worry.
minute. Let's make sure I've got this where I want it to be. No, this needs to be a public post. What are you playing at?
Right, add to profile. So we're on anyway.
We're on. Right, it's on your
We're
profile.
on,
That's
yeah.
brilliant.
So.
It's showing as friends only for me for some stupid reason, so I'm gonna
Oh,
try and change it here.
mm. I
See if
think
it'll let me.
neurodimensions is a great word.
Isn't it good?
Yeah, oh, I thought that was absolutely brilliant. What I thought,
Thank you.
I
And I
love
got
that.
given that. It was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, well, we do, don't we? I got given this chromatooptogenetics, magnetohydrodynamics. I think, what
did
does
you
it
get
mean?
given that? That's
What
mad.
does it mean? And who cares?
Right, it's not letting me, I don't even know if it's a public post. I'm sure it is, right?
Well,
I'm gonna assume so, and if not, we can just change it at the end.
all right.
Um,
Let's
I'm gonna
see.
just go with whatever is happening right now and not worry about it too much. Um,
Oh,
yes, so that's the name, and I only got it a couple of hours ago, and it was in to resolve a problem. Whereby I am very much in a space of absorbing information because I don't know a thing and I need to be in communication with others in order to make things happen. And right now, with the show as we have it here, the intention is to bring people in and have a proper discussion about this really big topic of neurodivergence in our lives now. And I want to absorb as much as I possibly can from as many people as I can.
well, I'm just thinking, I look younger on that picture behind you than I do on this one here. Because, selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of all our problems. And it is egocentricity. It doesn't mean selfishness in the way that people think it means. It means that we're people who are supremely sensitive and we've had to develop techniques in order to defend ourselves. So that's why, that learning to listen and listening to learn that us sensitives have. We don't hear a full conversation before we've already developed some sort of justification or defense on why we're like this. See what I mean? And that's where we're up to. Life will throw at us now very quickly, and this is happening for loads of highly sensitive people. We're being forced to face ourselves. Right. This is a fact finding and a fact facing process. And as I was told many years ago, if you point the finger even for a second, you're trying to get out of looking at yourself, right? But fortunately for you, there's three coming back at you to remind you, I, self, me. And this is what I've learned, Shanine. And we may be off topic here, but there's no topic because the
No.
topics will just arise as they need to. I know if I'm feeling emotionally disturbed, it can only be the ego in me, the defensive ego, right? It can't be the God self or the divine part of me because that's all powerful and that's just laughing all the time, right? So emotional reactivity is our problem. But we have to understand and we can justify our behavior. Oh, the reason I've said that is because you did this. The reason, you see, and so we point the finger outside of ourselves, even to what's gone in the past and past relationships, and we can blame others for putting us in those situations. But it's never, ever, ever, ever to do with anybody else outside of us. It's always to do with our emotional reactions to it. Why are you smiling? This isn't comedy, this is real. And
While you're
therefore,
talking.
how do you get over it? You have to do like an inventory of past behaviors and how you've harmed others because of your emotional reactivity, right? And that's what we don't want to do, because the final step of humility is to forgive the others, right? Forgive them. And it's to say directly, I'm sorry for all the shit that I did, I'm sorry for my part in it. So we're here now, us sensitive ones who are going through shit. Have a look at the persons you've harmed, right? Make a
Mhm,
list of them. And
mhm.
then, if you can, without causing trouble or anything, say to them or see them direct, face to face, and say, look, I've started to see things in a different way now, and I'm awfully sorry for my side of all those things that we went through. I hope you'll forgive me, and if there's anything I can do to calm it down or neutralize it, I will certainly do that. Shanine, that's the final step of humility, because you can't pretend humility, but we do. It's called being humile. We
You
become
might.
like Urea Heap and we say, oh, I'll do that for you and all that, and the hump comes up on your shoulder like that. Ah, yes, and you're looking well today. And then there's also this other one behind you going, fuck off, you horrible bastard. Right? I don't know what I'm going on about.
You big posh introduction. You've come on here and you're doing Quasimodo in 5 minutes. Cannot keep you right for 5 minutes.
But
Not even
it's
one.
But it's true. Lightheartedness is the key. And by lightheartedness, I don't mean stupidity. I mean to open your heart, be totally vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
And keep your heart open and flowing, because it's the outflow of the heart that will moderate all the negative emotion and our past karma and even our ancestral karma. We have to open our heart and allow it to flush out. And what happens is, as it comes out, though, Shanine, it means that we have to look at our part in it. And when you're not ready or you're not fully ready, you go close your throat and push it back down again. But we can't anymore because it's being pumped up that strongly now. It's going to come back virtually instant karma. Right.
That's why I laughed because I had an image of my own puffed up state and I got the term as you were speaking, toxic turgidity. It's the only word from biology class in year 9 that I remember. I just thought it was really funny, the word turgid, because a cell gets turgid. And I'm not thinking about it that way. The word turgid makes me laugh. And that's the way I go when I'm challenged. I get very puffed up, right? And I start formalizing my language and getting very articulate,
But
right?
that's your gift, isn't it? You are supremely
My weapon.
articulate.
It's my
Pardon?
weapon, though.
Yeah, oh, I know it. It's mine too.
Yes.
It's mine too. I
Yeah.
can like cut you down from 3 miles away when we gob. You know what I mean? And I've learned that. And sometimes it comes back, and I have to go and say, look, I'm sorry for that, right? Because my emotional reaction, you said something that's triggered me emotionally. So I've seen that as some sort of threat to my ego, and I've reacted and harmed you in some way. Thought, word, and deed. It doesn't mean physical. It means thought, word, and deed. And you have to say, look, I'm sorry about that. And then you've done your thing then. And if you're delivering information to somebody else because they've hurt you and they get upset by it, they need to look at their emotion. This is all about emotional intelligence, but being guided from the next level up, which is
Mhm.
basically the soul. I'm going to talk about souls, but I'm going to talk about souls, because I think that we're becoming soul centric, but we've really allowed people to block us off really from our hearts and souls, because they're trying to push us into our heads all the time, you know. And there's only two types of people in the world. There's people who are victims of life, and there's people who are victors of life. There can't be any more than that, right? So you're either a victim, whinge bag, or you're a victor, happy and smiling and joyful and finding the joy of living. Did that come out then like whinge bag? Yeah.
I call it a wet wipe,
Oh
right?
yeah,
That's my
wet wipe.
term.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have to be I didn't realize to what how much detail I have to go down to the nail when it comes to the manipulative things I do to get reactions out of people so then they'll do things. For a long time I used to whack people over the head with the truth,
Yeah.
and recent experiences have shown me quite how um painful that is to have someone expose you and hurt you. like without there being safety there. Like, and I was doing it from this place of, oh, well, I'm doing the right thing because I'm punching them.
Yeah.
But I was punching people all the time, willy-nilly, without consideration of the impact that that was going to have. It was just, it was, there was no compassion. And equally, I was doing it to get away from the conversation because I didn't want to deal with the conflict. So it was like, right, I'll just get a big needle, I'm going to poke you, and I'm going to eviscerate your very essence. And I could do that easily with my tongue and with my perceptions, but that's not right because it's still a weapon. And I had to see that and then also sort of experience it. This is another thing. Like as you're going through all this evolution, it's like it doesn't need to be actually happening for for you to learn the lesson. It's like there are realities that come in that are entirely there simply for us to experience what we need to experience so then we can move forward quicker. And I'm recognizing that now. Like while like control is not a thing that we have because the realities are constantly changing, whether they're internal or external, and we're never right about them anyway.
But that's not
You
true, is
told a
it?
lie!
That's just true because sometimes by accident, right, we get it right.
Yep.
Mostly by bleeding accident, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
you're right, I agree with you. And so, as all this karmic stuff's coming up now, let's call
Yeah.
it karma, or you call it what you like, but as this stuff now being released in this great cleansing that's going on in this shift,
Yeah.
stuff's coming up now that's being repressed, suppressed, oppressed, and everything else, all to do with pressure. And when
Yeah.
stuff's in a pressure cooker, right, and the lid starts shaking like that, boom, it's all coming up. That's what's happening in the world now. The world's in chaos now, right, for a reason, right? And the people who are going to get swept away is they haven't been shown how to manage their emotional reactivity because they're still trying to suppress it, close their throat down and push it down, or they're kicking off and being destructive. There is a way. Shanine, this is how you do it. It's like this and you let it out with a smile through your heart and through your throat. When you feel the bomb hit you, it's to keep it from there and let it out before it gets out of your gob, really.
I was
And
gonna
then,
say that.
yeah, yeah, let it out before it gets out of your gob, or right, because then we create more space for the light to get in and do its job more, and that's what's really happening, you know. And the other
I've
thing about, sorry, just let me do this. The other thing about
oh,
highly sensitive people in their child mode is they take everything literally. They take the word and they try and interpret what's being said. They can't read between the lines. And really, adult life in a balanced way is all about working with metaphor, isn't it? And you have to make meaning of your own metaphors. It doesn't matter if nobody else understands it. If you understand what it's about, then you're more or less free, then, really.
I'm hearing it isn't about me and it isn't about them. And that's the second part of that phase now. It's not about the other either. Like the experience is refinement of our own process and it's all bodily. The stories don't matter. The past, that was before I came on. I'm supposed to say this. The past doesn't matter. Anything that happened before does not matter. It's whatever's going on now. The problem I had was that I thought it was in my superior head, my job to evolve everyone around me. And I took on that role from I was knee high to a billy goat. I thought it was my job to make everybody else behave, and the way that I did it was by standing on my podium and whacking people with truth. And it was a defense mechanism, and it was also to cover my own vulnerability. If I felt frightened, that's what I did. And it was a way of screaming for help too. But and also I cut people off too quickly. Like, and I've done that the whole way through my life where it was like if I saw even a sniff of anything that I wasn't comfortable with, it was like, right, off you go, bye. Nope. And it consequently ended up isolating myself. Like I couldn't get close to anybody. Um, it's interesting though too because that's what I've noticed about the way that you operate with people, Joe. And it's because of your knowledge around this stuff, and I want to ask you a few more questions about it. This is coming in. This isn't coming from my head, right? But you let people be who they are in order to work that out. I could never have gotten to the point where I could have received that we have to let all of the emotions go, say 8 years ago, even last year. I wouldn't have been able to handle that, and I would have felt very judged and very frightened by that information. The idea of having to hold my emotions and process them out and not react, it would make me feel ashamed. The child inside of me would feel rejected and I would lash out further. And that was something that I was doing for years, I think. That used to happen a lot. And I just really appreciate that part of the process where it's like we have to allow our humanity and be compassionate as we're learning, because there are points where we cannot get that information until we've moved through certain points. And it's not fair to judge others on that basis either, because it's literally in their physiology. Do you know how many times I heard you in my head this way? It's hacking physiology to change neurology. Awake. Right. Which is just
So
perfect.
you
Yeah.
have to go through it in order to understand it, and you have to feel it, right? Because there's a difference between sympathy, empathy, and compassion.
Yeah.
Sympathy is having a head knowledge of it. I can appreciate what you're going through. No, you fucking can't, right? Empathy is I can really appreciate what you're going through because I can feel the feeling that's associated. It's not exactly what you went through, but I've like a good, and then empathy is a trap. Empathy is associated with sentimentality and nostalgia. And if only this happened, and I wish I could go back there. I was happy with Mary, and then Fanny came along, and and all that sort of stuff. That's a trap, that really, and that's what human love's all about. It's about imprisonment, right? And we get into relationships, right? We get into relationships because we're motivated by selfishness. This is what I want, right? And when you come to
I
see,
hate this topic.
and when you come to see, that's all about conditioned responses. It's just programs. We've been flooded because we're so naive. We've sucked on board all this shit, and we've tried to live by these principles, programs and conditions, right, associated with instincts like ring the bell, slobber, there's steak on the way. You know what I mean? And we've been battered by that since we were small. And then you wake up and think, hang about. I haven't even been able to think for myself. This is not my mind that I'm working from here. It's everybody else's views on how I should live. So if you're lucky enough to get to that point, right, and you'll probably be in real rock bottom pain and everything, wanting to top yourself, right, because nothing's working out for me, right? People, places, and things aren't going in accordance with my expectations. Isn't the world terrible? That's because we've been playing God, right? So when you get to the point of, I've had enough, I think I'll top myself, then this voice comes in to say, well, hang on a second. Hang on a second. It's just because, little one, you're not getting your own bleeding way. You keep throwing your rattle out the pram. That's why it is. Because you don't understand the dynamics of how this universe works. Right. The next thing is, and you chose this before you came here, so stop whinging. And you've got a specific purpose in your life that's called your soul's frequency. It's exactly aligned with what you're really good at naturally. So start doing that and you'll be given work to do then from the universe itself. I'll shut up in a minute. But the whole point is then compassion comes in then. And compassion is cool, Janine. It's
It
not
also
cold,
doesn't hang on.
it's
Compassion
cool.
flows through and out again. It
It
doesn't
is.
stay.
And it doesn't emotionally engage. The only time it emotionally engages is if when there's another lesson to learn of what you're still hanging on to in an ego defensive way. So it's like a threat detection system that's happening now. And if you get a grip in the gut, it's stop. Breathe out. That's the breathing out is the disengagement from the gut feeling. And then make space, come back, and then ask your intuition or your innate intelligence, what is it that I'm trying to be shown here? And you might get something as simple as you said yes there, when really at heart you wanted to say no. So you're a fucking people pleasing, excuse my French, everybody. You're people pleasing. Go back and say, look, I've changed my mind. I'm awfully sorry about that, but I don't want to do what I said I was going to do. And on the way there, your head will be saying to you, pecking to you, do I have to say this? May I'll say it next time if they ask me. And this new intuition that's coming in, it'll say, go and do it right now.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got no idea what's coming out here. We'll get to talk about neuro dimensions in a minute, maybe.
I feel like I'm getting battered a wee bit at the minute, time-wise. Time is playing an enormous role. I'm realizing that I don't have as much as I thought, and I should be using it all wisely. Like, I was getting a bit lethargic and low at points, even today, and realized I was distracting myself from things, and I'm noticing now that I'm doing that unconsciously when I'm not feeling good. There's like this low key state that we don't realize is a not feeling good, and that's the vibrational state straight dropping and your energy dropping. And if you keep letting it drop, then you have wasted a load of time and you've missed things. Like I got knocked out of that earlier today, and immediately everything started to speed up because I started to move. It's like there's a direct correlation between the amount of movement we allow ourselves to go through and how much information we get in order to create things from there. Like there's creative flow and then there's physical flow and they're the same thing.
That's like a double helix, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
See, fear is an evil and corroding thread. The fabric of our existence is shot through with it. That's our DNA. Because DNA is nothing but crystallized behavior from our own past and from the pasts of our ancestors as well. And we're being asked to not only clean up our own personalized blockages, but also when we've done a lot of ours, we kindly get shoved back into all their bleeding mistakes then. So we've got to see, I keep going on about the Celtic connections and the Irish Catholic connections and stuff like that. There's a whole load of cultural stuff that's come up, and I've been able to see it really, really clearly. And I understand that because sometimes when I was drunk, my grandfather would come out of me, right? When you do that one and you look at your hands and you think, I wonder whose hands they are, right? I would see physical changes in my body, almost as if that past memory. So it's a bit like having like a whole like 5 sense sort of globule comes up and it almost like infiltrates this body now. And that's what happens to me, Shanine. Sometimes I'm speaking and my brother Brendan comes out. So there's all these fragments of all these things that don't belong to us that are working their way out through us. But you don't know that until you get a bit of space so you can become a watcher, really.
I'm glad you told me that because I've noticed these things in myself and these fragments of other people, and as a result, I've tried to suppress them or I've started to judge and immediately pushed it away. So I'm not releasing from that place because of the association. And it's so funny because like it was only like about a week or so ago, there was something with my mother where I've seen my mother's behavior now, but I have compassion for it now because I understand why she was doing what she was doing. Um, and I would immediately, any association with my mum at all, because I would have judged her harshly in the past, like really severely harshly. I would immediately push it away. I was like, no, and then not breathing it out. The behavior doesn't change until it comes up and out of the system. Like there's that energy needs to move. So it's really interesting that you said that actually, because I can see that now.
Yeah, and it's associated with long-term memory. So we're being sort of guided to work beyond memory now. But in order to work beyond memory, you can't skip over it. You've got to go through it. So all those memories and the lessons associated with it have got to come up and through us. And so we get the felt feelings. And as soon as you see it in yourself, you can say, my mother used to do that. I can see why she used to do it now. I mean, my greatest enemy, hate, was my mother, and my greatest love, we've talked about this before, my mother, but I never knew what sort of mood she'd be in, right? And sometimes she'd be hugging me, and I would be the most fantastic child in the universe, and I'd be so happy. And then another time, she'd be throwing hot water over me and smashing plates on my head and all that. And I know why she did that now because if we're going to put a label on it, she was massively bipolar or manic, and you didn't know whether you were going to catch it on a good day when she'd take us out, play rounders and all that, or on a bad day when she was really exhausted and depressed. I see that, Janine, clearly. And I've got nothing but, oof, here we go again. I've got nothing but love for my mum now because she had a fucking hard life, my mother. At one point, she had 4 jobs she was trying to keep us all going on. My old fella used to work, God, all the hours he could send. And I can remember about me dad, he would come in, his feet always stunk. She'd make him his food, he'd eat it, and he'd fall asleep. And we all felt abandoned by me dad, right? Because he didn't play with us and he didn't pay us attention. He was fucking exhausted, you know. And compassion means you can see that without getting attached to it now. And you can see it clearly.
Yeah.
And this is the thing about the kids now, the kids, right? I went to a lecture last night actually, and it was about on autism-like behavior. It wasn't autism, it was autism-like behavior. And
Interesting.
it's all to do with most kids are looking for some sort of reaction in their early years from their mum's face. Now, if mum is on the doodah all the time, the mobile phone or the telly, it's like a blank neutral face. They don't see anything. All they see is this thing looking at it. So the kid, because it's open and it's trying to gauge what's going on, feels that there's no feelings. You see what I mean? All these things. We don't know this, right? And we live in such an electrically toxic world that we're being forced to become like audio visual robots. And the biggest thing, in my view, that's going to help us to get back to earth is to get touch back into this as well, to start touching and feeling, and it's children, right, being massaged from an early age. And if you look at the environment, when oh, you can't do that, you might be a paedophile. You can't do that. You might have bad. You see what I mean? I'm really on one tonight because I can feel it. Is putting your hands on people. Now I'm a massage therapist and I do remedial massage, right, as well as everything else that I do, right, and Indian head massage and healing and all that. And when I'm working with children in the appropriate environments, when the parents are around and all that bleeding stuff, I'm saying that here because it might cause people to go, ooh, right. I work on their heads like that and I mess around and put their ears like that and all that. And you can feel them then just starting to relax. Shanine, something magic happens in that, right? Because they open up then, right? And what we do is, and what we found is, the more that we do this, then get the kids playing with each other and stuff like that, then something magic happens in that. And then if we can do it then in the external environment, something even more magic happens. Because to me, we're being driven to become all uniform. You've said something about this recently. All wear the same clothes, all speak the same language. Even when you're working with Microsoft Word now, it comes in as spell checker to say that your grammar's not correct. If you put a slang word in, it will change it for you to say you're not having it. And what pisses me off is it stays red all the time, you know, that wiggly line. I've got no idea what I'm going on about, but we're being duped all the time, or we're that naive, or we're that close, sort of involved with trying to deal with all the external stuff that's going on. We're missing the point. Over to you, quick.
And the children are the point.
Yeah, they are.
I'm learning a lot from Finn. He has this like he is a remedial approach for me in so many ways because he mirrors the way we should be, so I can then see where my flaws are. And I see where I have more to work on within myself with him reflecting and emanating such purity and openness and just an it's an unself-conscious self-awareness he has. He'll like he has this mad friend called David. David's lovely, but David's very passionate, wee old baby and boy, right? He will just they'll fight a lot. David will he is David's he is sensitive in different ways to Finn. So they clash from time to time. And Finn just randomly announced to David on the way to the park the other day, he goes, I actually said it to me because he knows that I'll understand this. And it was so amazing to see him step into this. He turned around and he's five. Like, he went, Mommy, you need to tell David that today I'm feeling tired, so I might be sensitive and I might cry. And he doesn't like loud noises. It's like, no, he doesn't. It's like, I need to tell him to be gentle with me. He's like, do you want to try telling him? No, Mommy, you did. He's not at the point where he can say it himself yet, but the fact that he knows his needs and he will communicate them, like he says to Steve now how he wants him to talk to him a lot, and then he'll tell me the same. Like he goes to me, what was it? I said, anytime you want to talk to me over the next couple of days, because he's not with me for the next couple of days, I said, you just call me. And he turned around, he goes, but I will call you, but don't ask me why I've called. And I went, why? Because I don't want to talk about it. But isn't that amazing? Like he's
No,
five and he's like, I am aware of what accommodations I need, and I'm going to tell you, grown up, what they are. It's amazing.
because we got sit in the corner and say nothing.
Yeah.
And when the priest comes, zip up basically and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's the programming that's gone on and things are changing now. From an educational point of view, I'll make this point on here just to because these are the things that come to me and when I see them. Education, two roots. Educare means to pour information in,
Yeah.
Educere means to draw information out. This debate's been going on since Plato and Socrates and all them Greek people, because they've always known that there's two ways. There is information that needs to go in, but it needs to come out expressing itself when it's being interpreted, really. And that's the problem is that creativity is the only way forward. And to be creative, it means to bring novel solutions. And novel doesn't mean to regurgitate all the stuff that's gone before. Like you've just said before, creativity only happens intuitively in the moment. And
Yeah.
that's why. And when we were kids, you'd go off, wouldn't you? And you'd be on your own and you'd be totally and utterly absorbed in something. Right. That's where we've got to get to, you know.
The way things are coming in for me in terms of constructing a curriculum for sincerity. The drawing out has been repeated multiple times, and it is, I seem to be building not so much a syllabus, but a way of interacting with whatever's put in front of them that can be applied in a regular way, where there's nature and there's long form learning based on projects that's team building. And the subject matter seems to be less pronounced at the moment. It's like in the old way, as a previous teacher, and you will know this, like it's right here are all the subjects you need to learn, and this is all of the information you need to cover. We need to jam it into the children as much as possible. A great big hammer, bang, 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 bang. And what I'm sort of being shown is here's a thematic interpretation of this, here's a thematic interpretation of that, here's an experience, and these are all the things inside of the experience that you are intuitively going to learn from applying yourself to it, right? So it's facilitation of the drawing out across long form construction of creation. Now, I have really resisted writing a lot of this down in detail. I've done bits and then I've went, that sounds too weird, right? And stopped because I don't want to go too far with it, or my programming is still telling me different. But I'm getting to the point now, right? Because it keeps repeating, I'm trusting what I have now. And I feel like I'm ready to like smack it all down, but it's not going to look like the way it was supposed to before. Like I was not going to do any planning for education at all unless someone taught me how to put it into a schedule. And I'm like, oh, what am I using a schedule for? I hate schedules. Like, and my brain doesn't work with those. Can I do this in a way that fits my brain? Then it's going to work for the school. So that's how
Well,
I'm going.
my thing is, as I've said before, it's a both and approach. We've got
Yeah,
to realize where we are now governmentally. Right. Because
yeah,
both and means, right, to take the best of both sides, basically. And so you have to get to that by asking your innate intelligence. They want me to do this. I want to do this. Can we put it all together? And will you, dear heart, will you spill out something that doesn't cause too many antibody reactions? So I've written these curricula. I've just finished the KS2, Key Skills 2, 3, 4, and 5. I've got 30-week curriculums for all those. They need to be, before we get registered with the Department of Education, they need to be sequenced as well. So I have to show, you can have all these. I'll pass them on to you. You can have them.
thank you.
And this is about us working together, this. Nobody owns this thing because it's emerging. It's coming in from Brighton. It's coming in from San Diego, believe it or not. It's coming in from Texas. There's all sorts of people collaborating here and chucking ideas in. Nobody owns this thing, right?
Yeah.
It's so difficult. It's so difficult because you know, working together and collaborating with adults as well, because they've still got all their stuff to deal with at the same time. And working with 12 other people at the same time obviously brings up our own triggers, right? And this is still it. But that's what I'm having to learn myself is I can feel it welling up and I feel I just get this, just shut it, Joe, and get back down again. Get back and just listen to what's going on. Anyway, I digress. So it's got to be sequenced up across all the years, right? Otherwise, you don't get the regulation. If you don't get the regulation, you can't get any funding. So we've got to be sensible about this. So I've written, right, or we have written together, right, this approach that's based upon neuroscience first, right? To use the posh words, it's trauma informed, right? And everybody's had some trauma at some point that's caused an obstruction in them, right? And that's the whole thing is when our ego's threatened, that's the traumatic bit. It recalls a memory of the trauma and then it blocks people off. Right.
Yeah.
When we do co-regulation, the people who are working with the kids have got to be aware of their own emotional intelligence, right? Otherwise, it's just a head trip. It's back to that sympathy. And Shanine, over the years I've been working in education at all different levels, I've worked with loads and loads and loads of people who are knowledgeable but haven't got a clue, right? Because it's about the feelings. And because you, and people like us, we can sense when the atmosphere changes, even in the fraction of a second. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not good with that though, Joe. I have a terrible habit of like just being like,
yeah,
right then, and then I don't want to do that.
yeah,
Like,
but
and
that
that's not helpful at the minute. I am learning to just recognize where my judgments are potentially blocking me from working with people right now. Like, because there needs to be, as we move forward, if we're building something fresh, we have to be open to receiving. And equally, I need to be open to listening to other people and also this again, focus on what's strong. Like, and not force my own viewpoint onto others too quickly. Like, find a way to merge
But
and
that's
not
about us learning, isn't it? That's about us learning how
yeah.
to let go of the reactivity and sink into a more neutral space because we're learning all the time. I mean, I listen to some people and think, for fuck's sake.
Me.
Yeah, no, 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 but all learning because this is a learning thing for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But the whole point about it is, right? I like that poem, the Desiderata, because it says, because even the dull and ignorant have their story. Oh, fuck. When I read that, I thought, Jesus Christ, sitting in Alcoholics Anonymous meetings for 30 odd years,
Totally.
right? And my head would be like that, fuck, when are they going to shut up, right? And that's our problem. It's not their problem. Obviously, there's got to be some balance. If they've been droning on for 10 minutes as a group, because I had to be a group leader and have to say to one person, Dave, all right, Dave, you've said enough now. Yeah, but of course, no, no, Dave, there's other people in the room, Dave. Give them an opportunity. So I've had to become like almost like a snake charmer and a lion tamer and all that. That's part of our growth, that because everybody's got something, and sometimes it's the quiet one who says bugger all, right? He encouraged them, Mary, come on, Mary, I can see something's trying to get out there. What is it? And it comes out, and it just dissolves a whole 2 hours of debate, right? Just like that because nobody else can see it, but Mary can see it clearly. That's why everybody's got to have an equal part and deliver it in the way that's best for them. And that's just the same as kids as well. Don't worry, we're all learning that. I haven't got this cracked at all, because this is something I've been trained to do from Alcoholics Anonymous again. At the end of the day, I have to run my day through and see where I got triggered.
Yeah.
Now, so you do a reflection on action, right? But then when you get good at it, there's sufficient space then to be reflective in action then. So you can feel it coming in, you feel the trigger, you get told what it is, you can do something and nobody even knows it's happening. But this is going on all the time. It's all about information flow. But if you
This
get a trigger and you're off on one to defend yourself, you're going to miss the next gem that's coming in. Just makes sense.
it perfect sense because this is my whole thing. I'm so excited by this topic and I've been shown I have to bring in teachers and other people who have worked with children and other people who are passionate and experienced. My big problem has been getting people to show up to the meetings. And I don't know whether right, we're just doing the meetings and that's it. We're not doing it any other way, and it's gonna be that date because I'm stressed, right? And I'm just noticing where my stress can get in the way. It's not a demand for authority that's in me anymore. Like I don't feel that in myself at all. Like
No.
it's just this sense of learning to merge and communicate peacefully and give people space to work together on things. It's also very powerful at the minute because I have these amazing neurodivergents around me right now, and there's many of them are probably watching and people are following me now that have been working themselves in various different areas. And I know this from me as a neurodivergent. I love my authoritative position, right? Because then I am in control of everything and it manages my anxiety. And that rigidity has made things a little difficult at times because they're coming to me as individuals and they want to talk to just me and they don't want to talk to any new people and they don't like the idea in the exact same way that I don't. Do you know what I mean? They're like,
Yeah, of course.
no, I will only enter if you recognize my authority so I can be a manager, right? And no one's going to take my managerial role away from me. And I completely relate because I know it's not coming from, I want to be the boss. It's coming from, oh my God, no, I cannot handle chaos. Do you know what I mean?
Of course. Well, no,
Yeah.
and that's great, isn't it? But you do, you know, and I'm going to say it now. You don't half have a go at yourself, though, you know. Right.
I do, I'm aware
You
of
do.
that.
Yeah, very, very much so because you're applying the same standards. You've got very high standards and
Yeah.
therefore very high expectations. They've all got to go. They've all got to go because it's your standards that determine your expectations. Right.
I want everything to be perfect,
Yeah. But
Joe.
I know that. But what is perfect because we don't know.
Me!
What? No, but that's what I'm
I'm
saying
there.
is, and I was the same. Talk about OCD and stuff. Never mind stepping on the cracks in the road and having to go back to make sure you do and all that, and go back about 10 times to check that the gas is off and all this. I've gone through all that sort of stuff, but then it becomes applied then to our work and get it right. I mean, you've got no idea how long it's taken me to do these four bloody curricula, right? But Catherine says to me, "Have you finished with them yet?" And I say, "Yes, I have." And then I'm up early in the morning thinking I could just put that bit in there. So that hasn't left me. The only time I sort of disengage from it is when I'm totally bleeding exhausted. So I haven't got it cracked, right? But the point is, I think what I'm trying to say is, sometimes if you've got any expectations of how it's going to work out, you can have a rough idea how it's going to go forward, right? But generally speaking, we've almost like got to jettison that straight away. So that word I like is extemporaneous means that you don't go in with a plan. You can have a rough idea, but when you come out of it, you think, well, that didn't work out as I expected. That's a positive thing.
Yeah, this is where the nervous system and its transformation plays a role in every creative endeavor for this new future that we can all see. And this is sort of the message of what came in with this podcast. It was like I can see very vividly and clearly a bunch of people. Where am I going with this? A bunch of people that are doing lots of very new and fresh and innovative things, and they're working very hard and quietly on these things, like you and a beautiful girl, Beverly Knight, right? Like there are beautiful people building a new world already, and it's refining all of us as we go. The quandary here is managing and staying balanced when the looming like officious things are over your head, like bills, and it needs to be done this way, and
Yeah,
you're gonna get cut off tomorrow, and blah blah blah. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of that extraneous. Is it extraneous? I've lost the word,
yeah,
right? Pressure externally
yeah,
that I'm just learning not to overanalyze. And I struggle with the idea of going into things extemporaneously when that's over my head.
yeah.
Does that make sense what I'm saying to
Of
you?
course it does, and it's only a habit of because again, expectare means to look outwards,
Right.
and it means to look further than now, right? And as soon as you do that, anxiety comes in and blocks you off from what you need to know because your intellect and your habits. It's called an amygdala hijack, it's called. That's a technical term for it. It's when your amygdala jumps in because you get a threat. And what's the threat? I don't like what you've just said because you're going against my standards here, right? And if we look at the high standards that we've got, we can't even live up to them ourselves.
No, that's very true.
And that's
No, that is
this is the
very,
thing.
very
So it's
true.
about being look, you know, I've got no idea what's going on. Why don't we have a go at this and see what emerges? And I'm more or less there now. I'll turn up to something. I don't plan. People say to me, "What are you going to talk about?" I've got no idea. I'll go along, right? We'll have this plan. We probably won't talk about anything like that, but I'll just open my heart up, open my gob up, and see what comes out. And lots of
My
sorry,
heart wants to learn from children though. There's so much of this right now where I want to learn from children. I went to the park the other day, Joe. This is so beautiful, and I'm sorry if did I interrupt you?
no, no, not until
Right. There was this. I honestly, the nucleus of my life is the park up the road right now. Right, just everything happens there. This young girl appeared. She was only about 14, and I had this most incredible serendipitous conversation with her. I was on the swing as I do, right? And I was listening to my music and she came over to talk to me. I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk to anyone because I regulate with the music and swinging, right? And she was doing the exact same thing. And she leaned over to me, what are you listening to? And I went, REM. She goes, where are they from? Oh, years ago. She goes, like, do you want to hear? And it hurt. Her mannerisms were identical to my own. And I went, what is happening right now? And she was literally a carbon copy of me at 14. Just the way she was talking, the way she was communicating, except she was aware of her ADHD and she talked all about it at school and what was happening in school that was wrong and this and that and this and that. And I already knew her mom because I didn't realize who she was, and I knew her mom, so I messaged her and I said I'd love to talk to her again. I've asked her to do a mind map for me, Joe, of her dream school based on all her observations. She was just spinning with ideas as soon as I told her, and I was like, I should be talking to you. Like it's there's something about the children right now because they have the language we didn't have. They're able to ascertain, especially with supportive parents, which she ultimately does have, right? She had this incredible way of navigating, right? This is not right for me, and I know that. And she had this lovely wee shield around her where she was like, this is my lived immediate experience, and I do not judge my immediate lived experience. Therefore, she could see all the intrusions. And it was so interesting.
See, it's good this. And when you say swinging, I knew you were a swinger at heart. Anyway, that's a story for another day. That's a story for another day, right? But let's do it this way, Shanine. Our
Yeah.
innate intelligence, our in sorry, our innate intelligence, right, is basically our soul. Our
Right.
soul, right?
Hmm.
Our soul, if you're a Christian person, you could call that a guardian angel. It's more intelligent than us and it can see a lot further. That's the whole purpose of what's going on here is so that we can surrender more and more and more of our ideas to be given ideas from one moment at a time through which we act upon. So Shanine and Joe are basically the vehicles that take the action, right, based upon the emerging creative thoughts that are coming from beyond ourselves that are really our bigger selves. So really, surrender means that Joe and Shanine have to go, I've got no idea, but use me in whichever way you feel is beneficial, not only to ourselves, but to everybody else. And if that means that you're walking down the road and you go in the shop for some milk, but then you get diverted and you end up bumping into this girl on the swing and all that, then that's exactly meant.
Yeah.
Because Shanine, 33 odd years ago, I totally surrendered my body, my mind, and everything else. And I said, you drive me now. So it's almost like you get chauffeur driven to the next episode in which we need to act upon.
Oh,
Does that
go.
make
Yay. Sorry, there's a song.
yeah, no, no, no. But that's the whole point is. And then if we completely let go, because the result was nil until we let go absolutely, it means that we've got nothing to worry about because we're being guided by the greatest force in the universe, the most intelligent and the most present force. That's what this is about because at the end of this story, in my view, this is about our own self-actualization.
Yeah.
And that means that every day Joe and Shanine get a job sheet to say, start walking in this direction. Yeah, but what's going to happen? That's got nothing to do with you. I'll let you know when the time is right.
I have an anecdote to go with this. Can I
Go on
tell the
then.
anecdote? Right,
Yes, you
because it's
can.
so perfect to match up when the time is right. Yes, so let give time, etc., etc.
That's
So
right.
I had a really rough week, incredibly rough week, probably one of the roughest weeks I've had so far in the year of the rough, right?
Yeah.
And as a result, I had a very limited belief mindset, and our human complex system is puny in the way that it interprets reality. And also, by the way, that book, the Cathars one I was reading this morning on initiations, it says that we cannot translate any of this. And I thought immediately, you know, like you spend your whole life translating this stuff, Joe. You didn't listen to that one bit, right? But but basically, I noticed my puny mindset where I was like, I'm not going to the other shop to get the good milk, right? Because I'm not getting the good milk because I don't want to repeat this week again because I'm trying to hold on to my money. I'm being really reticent. I'm not. I'm tight, right? And I thought, oh, it's great. I'll just go and get the good milk. And I got instructed to do this, and I thought, I'll just give over. Fine, fair enough. And I kept like in a huffy way surrendering to the stupid things that was being shown while I was out shopping. I was like, for God's sake, I don't want to be in any of this, right? Spending too much money, and this is the way my brain's going. And I went to the healthy shop, right? I walked in, my favorite shopkeeper there called Nell, this girl called Nell with red hair, and she's super cool. And I just love her in the health shop. She goes, my mum was talking to you. I go, what? She goes, I haven't seen you for weeks and you're trying to open a school. Do you think you're awesome? She goes, and my mum does this. And I went, oh, I'm starting a show. I'm going to message your mum today. She goes, yeah, I do. She goes, because she knows, apparently this woman, this lovely woman, her mum, who I did not know was her mother, who was contacting me multiple times over the last wee while, is running her own stuff, like actually looking after autistic people in another area outside of Sussex. And she's moving down here soon. And she has all these contacts of these individuals that she's helped self-actualize. And I was like, are you having me on? Right? It's just those tiny wee things. And Nell was like, this is so gonna work. I have such a good feeling about it. I was like, yeah, me too. Well, I'm buying me organic eggs that I can't afford. But this is where it is. It's like these limitations that appear. And I was like that at the beginning too, are there because of our programming. And I was very resistant to taking on any idea that didn't flow in from me immediately. Like you had to give me prompts sometimes, and then I'm resistant to the prompt because you were the one who told me. I was like, no, I want divine intervention. I don't
No,
want
no.
you telling me what to do, Joe, right? It doesn't work like that. There's this point in the refinement process where you have to give up how it's going to look and you have to be totally open like a stupid gormless child and be like, right then, right, and just allow your gorm because that's the way it's meant to be.
Perfect. So it's to surrender to every moment. And here's the
Yes.
hard thing, in not knowing, in not knowing, and not needing to know. See, here's the hard one. For all you sensitives out there who need to know so you can manipulate the next minute because you don't like the feeling, tough, right?
Yeah.
See, and that's the hard part, and that's what it means to become nothing, right?
Yeah.
So, becoming nothing means that stuff comes in. If we get an emotional reaction, that's once again to do with our ego self. Ask what it is. You said yes, go back and say no. And you have to follow that prompt there from your heart all the time. And the little kid in us will go, do I have to? Right. And then we've got this other one that's where all this is transactional analysis. This we've got a head full of standards, conditions, programs. We've basically got to allow them to be all washed away. And when it's all washed away and we become no self, little s, we become the big self. And the big self is when the soul completely infiltrates and starts to radiate through our physical body. So we do become walking, working, shining examples of joyfulness. I've got no idea where I'm going with this is, but in the end, this is about getting out of the way to allow all the joy to come through. Right.
Even with all the external pressures that can be done.
But the whole point is the pressure goes when you surrender completely because you see, you've totally handed over the management, even contemporary times. Because I used to think, well, because when I was doing the Jesus thing, I was thinking, well, he's got sandals on. How can he understand what's going on with all these cars going wrong and everything else? And I got, no, 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 Joe. This higher power, innate intelligence, it's right with you. It knows exactly what's coming on. From Atlantean high technology, it knows more than you think it knows, right? It's got you every step of the way and it understands. Just trust. And when I get disturbed, I just have to feel the emotion, feel the grip, take a step back with an out breath, and then say, Thy will, not mine, be done all the time. Thy will, not mine. Because, Shanine, admit it now, we've been willful bastards, right? This is the way
But
it's
you're
going to
very
be.
entertaining, Wilford.
Yeah, entertaining, but we've developed all these things. Me and you have always said this, we'll be on the stage together one day, right? Me
Yes,
Comedy
we
Club,
will.
right? But we've been willful in I'm gonna get my own way, get out of the way, And sometimes, like you said before, sometimes our curtness and cut through is rude. It cuts people off. And that's why sometimes they don't turn up because you've already told them, or I've already told them, by the way, here are the rules and regulations. That's what we're trying to get away from.
Yeah.
So turn up. What's on the agenda? Well, there's a rough agenda, but I've got no idea. Let's just see what comes up and work with that, really.
That's the kind of teacher I was in the past, you know.
Yeah,
When I
I
taught
know.
before, of course you do. Men who know everything annoy me, right? But I'm only joking. But no, I was like very controlling of the classroom, and everybody had to do what I said, and it was this, and I had a plan for everything. And it's that mentality now where I feel like I can just walk into a situation, I will lead the whole thing, and it will go the direction that I want it to, and it will be beautiful and ordered and signed off by me. I did it all. And it's completely the opposite way around now. Like I'm just a cog piece. Like, and I'm a tiny little chess piece on a board, and I need to just go with the being tiny
But
in
that's,
that.
isn't it great? It's a freedom,
It
you
is
know.
actually, yeah.
It's a
No, it
freedom.
is.
It's a
Yeah.
westernized. Go west, young man, and make something of yourself. That's what's killing everybody.
Yeah.
Work all the hours God sends you. Get as much money as you can. Buy the biggest house that you can nearly not quite afford, and get a posh car. What for? Right. So you can say to the neighbor, "Got a new car."
Yeah,
Yeah, got a
I'm
new car. Got a new ulcer. Got a new heart attack. Right.
I'm being a bit hard on myself though, because like with that, I have gotten accustomed to this playful state as well too. Like when I am in surrender state, which isn't all of the time at all, it is a very playful world. And it is very childlike, and it is open, and it's free. And my big friend, which is what I call creator being,
Yeah.
right, is around and in everything, and I feel held. The experience of reality is not um reality anymore. It's like a dream. Finn turns around to me every time Finn comes to show him, because he's unmasked to a degree when he's with me. He turns around to me, looks up at me, and he goes, "Mommy, I feel like I'm in a dream again. Why do I always feel like a dream and Sean by sea?" And I was like, I don't know, it's because the two of us are floating around.
Yeah.
And you're in this floating state. And we can apply that everywhere. It's just hard to do where we're breaking all the other stuff off first.
I think one of the biggest freedoms is when somebody asks you something and you don't know, you can say, "I'm sorry, I just no idea." Because people have expectations of me, and I've got these qualifications and all that. And I'm thinking, don't ask me a hard question. Right? And I guess rather than trying to blag it out now, I'll just say, I've got no idea. Oh, of course, you must have. You've got all these qualifications. I said, I've got no idea what you're talking about. Shanine, I've got this dyslexia, dyspraxia, and dyscalculia. Right. I couldn't do when I couldn't learn anything at school because any pressure to close me down because I was that sensitive, and they would try and force it into me. When I went to my secondary school, they used to strap us Christian brothers if we didn't learn anything. So we used to do all these maths theorems. I used to always get the strap, right? And I used to think I must be bloody stupid. When I was in the priest training college, my mother said, "You stupid boy." And that's because I said to my mum, "I don't know what this word means, mum. I can't even think of the bleeding word now." And she said, I said something, and she said, "It's not that, it's this." Right. And that really blocked me then. Right. See, it's all those things now. She did it, and I see it clearly now. She didn't want to make me look stupid. She wanted me to try and be clever, but she didn't realize that every time that came in, it blocked me off. I went into an amygdala reaction, my head closed off, and I went into defensiveness. And at that time, then it was just cry, 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 and I want to be home, and all that. So you see this looking back. But my mother was trying her best. Most people in the world, unless they're really psychopathic and closed off from their emotions, most people are doing the best that they can every single second of the day.
So I remember you and Boggy and I discussing this at length once about the idea of bending like a reed.
Yeah,
Like when a force comes upon you, you bend in softness because it lets go the defense. And it's the state I think that we're all kind of navigating right now. And there's only really butt heads when we're being stubborn, and I'm very stubborn. I can be very disrespectful to you, both to myself and to others, like in a place where I feel justified in it. And I realize now that there's no justification in the world that we're in right now for any of that.
I
Like
agree.
there's too much pain.
There isn't at the level of the soul, right? There's no judgment, is there really? There's no feminine, there's no masculine, there's no colours, there's no creeds, religions, beyond all labels. This is the problem. we've got all these labels with the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Psychological Problems. You know, I like this one because I think I've been diagnosed with this. ODD, you know, odd. Oppositional Defiance Disorder. That's a real thing there. Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I've nearly got that all the time with Tourette's because it's like, fuck off, fuck off. But at least I'm onto it now. I never used to be, honestly. It was like somebody'd say something and I'd be there like a bottle of pop. Shane, I'm only just learning myself about loads of stuff, and I don't think it's ever gonna end. Right. And I think as we drop this mortal body, I think the soul goes marching on to bring in the next lessons, right? Whether we come back here again or go off to Pluto, or we'll probably end up in Uranus, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer unless I sit there and things just seem to come to me, and they're not coming to me from me knowledge because it's new stuff all the time, you know. Just let me say about these things I've put up. I honestly feel though, and I've got to say this, is we've got to play a game here with authority, right? We've got to almost try and follow what they're suggesting, but also bring in our stuff as well. So what I've done in the write-up, right, I've refined the write-up for AJ and Friends School, and I've said that we're working to the send national curriculum as far as possible, right? But it's also equally led by neuroscientific approaches, right, based upon the doctrine of autonomic space. That'll get them. And all that means is, right, when you feel uncomfortable, how can you get back and help the child to get back to a position of trust and openness and do what they naturally feel inclined to do?
I'm
Because in the
hearing you
end,
now. I was trying to reinvent the wheel.
yeah,
I'm hearing you now.
yeah. Because what it is because all I ever get was fear blocks, fear blocks. And there's no point in trying to push new information onto somebody is in a fearful state because they'll do anything to even look like they're interested, but nothing's going in. And if it's going in and it doesn't correspond with who they are, they're not going to be interested in doing it anyway. So when you're working with your own natural stuff and you know flair, talent, skills, attributes, call it what you like, that's flowing all the time. That's what brings joy. It's the feeling that's coming from deep within that goes through your heart. That's called enthusiasm. And it means to walk hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. It really does.
Is
From the
that what it
Greek, it
means?
means to walk
In
with
Theos as
entheos, yeah.
well.
So
Yeah.
it means see I've got a big thing going up my spine now. Entheos means enthusiasm means to walk hand in hand with God. Right. And I'm not a religion person, but I know what that means because I know what it feels like. Let me ask you this question before we go.
I'm meant to be asking the questions, but all right then.
Yeah, yeah, but you know, we have to go with the flow, don't we? Are you doing, Shanine, the best that you can at every single moment of the time? End of story. That is the end. And Shanine, have you always done the best that you can? End of story. That's the end of the story. And so from this moment on, oh, I can feel it coming up now. From this moment on, you can jettison all that. Right. Because if we look back at the past with our habits, we'll get into judging and we'll get sidetracked again. So you can jettison all that shit. It doesn't mean to say that you lose the memory of it, but you lose the emotional attachment. The emotional attachment to it in a negative way only comes from a judgment, right? And that's what they mean. And can you stop judging? No, your head can't stop judging because that's judging, right? Isn't it? This is like some sort of metacognitive thing going on here. But what I'm saying is, you can say, if you say, I've just judged that, right? That means that I've just judged myself judging somebody else. It's a trap. So what you do is you say to God or spirit or innate intelligence or intuition, you say, look, will you please help to just wash that away? And when a judgment comes up, you go, oh, look at that. There it is again. And carry on with your job. Honestly, the solution's a piece of piss when you get into it, right? It's just, oh, look, there it goes again. But then don't get hold of it. Just let it flow. Breathe it away.
I didn't know this about myself. Like I knew it, but I didn't know it until this week about this authoritative parent in my head. I knew I was constantly like disappointed with the world and always telling the world how disappointed I was with it. Like, I knew that was happening all the time, but I had no idea where the root of it was, and the root was inside of me in the way that I deeply and harshly critique myself on a regular basis. And the collapse of that has left me quite vulnerable. I'm in a phase of feeling quite vulnerable with it. It hasn't turned into wisdom just yet, but it is a relief to be more aware of it now. Now I can see the potential for that coming off. Like, not completely yet, obviously. It doesn't happen as quickly as that, but at least now I am seeing that. And I'm also noticing it, like, there's more fluid communication between me and other people now, too, because I'm not snapping at folk. So I didn't even know I was snapping because I never meant to hurt anyone. Like,
It's a
that's
program.
this shocks me the most. I've never ever wanted to hurt anybody. I just thought I'm being more efficient if I give people the most useful information I can, which is criticism that I have been carrying around for everything around me. I didn't realize I was doing
But because the root of the addiction I had was suppression and repression of my true feelings. And when I drank, it temporarily disinhibited me, and I was like a maniac in all sorts of ways. And then when I'd come round the next morning and look at the destruction, I'd think, who's done this? And whoever I was with would say to me, it was you. And I'd have no bloody memory of it whatsoever. It was almost a blackout is when you're working from a totally different dimension, right?
it.
And the freedom I got with it, it was a feeling thing. It changed the way that I felt, and it gave me freedom, but it trapped me at the same time because I could only get it by taking something external, whether it be drink, drugs, or whatever, because it temporarily changed my mood state. So in the end, it comes down to mood management, right?
Yeah.
It's only about learning, Shanice, honestly. And what I was going to say is, just something just came to me there, just to say. Yeah, you'll feel yourself suffering. I know what it is. Is there's a difference, as you know, between authoritative and authoritarian.
Hmm.
And we've had that authoritarian head in us. That's
Yeah.
been the programs and all that. Authoritative's the positive side, right? And that goes along with the sort of nurturing parents inside of us, really. And we'll always have that.
Hmm.
So, there's nothing happens in God's world by accident. And I keep saying God because it's just quicker to say than Holy Spirit or whatever, the universe or source intelligence or whatever.
I want to ask you, we're going to have to do another one at some point.
I know. To talk about like, I
It's
know,
boring. You're
but
so silly.
but we will do, won't we? And if
Yeah.
ever I get an opportunity, and you to come along to one of your meetings, but my head's up my
Oh,
bum.
Joe, that'd be lovely.
Yeah, yeah, my head's up my bum with stuff at the moment. So, because I feel my way and I say, look, it's a space for me to go in and I don't want to cramp her style and all that sort of business, because I do think these things.
I would love to have, once we have more people, there's a Just Me and this beautiful girl called Sarah Kate O'Flaherty. And she's just five languages. She's got ADHD, just phenomenal out of nowhere. And she's a mum a wee bit further down in Sussex, east direction. And this is the kind of magic that's happening where these people are coming in and they're exactly what I need in the moment, and I need to stop trying to rambunctiously create more happening. I need to accept what I have and work with what's there. So there's lots of yes, I'm becoming a better person as a result of this, and I'm learning a lot. I just need to slow my roll a wee bit.
Yeah, and we do that through breathing, as you know.
Yeah,
And when Bev gets on, I mean, talk about phenomenal people, right?
yeah,
And standards, right? If you say one thing to her, she'll go off and get standard this, subsection this, page three, and all that.
yeah,
And that's her gift. She's there straight away, right?
yeah,
So that will be interesting to see what you and her get up to as well. And
yeah,
I know that there's loads more coming in now,
yeah.
so it all will be well. And
Thank you.
you know that I love you like mad. I mean, and we've known each other for a long, long time. We know that.
Eons.
Yo, eons of time, and eons begins with an A for those Americans who are listening to this. It's it's AEONS, eons. So get your socks, SOX, get your socks on back to front. Shanine, darling, thank you for inviting me.
Thanks,
I'll
Joe.
look at this myself because I never know what comes up, and I'll listen to it because I like the sound of my own voice
I know
as
you
you
do.
do. I mean,
Just a good
as you
job that
do.
we love it too. Checking. Anyway, I'll
Chicken.
chat to you later. Loads
All
of love,
right.
Joe.
Thanks very
Bye.
much. Bye bye.